Downforce is the vertical force bearing down on F1 cars as they navigate circuits at over 300 kilometers an hour. It's one of three key aerodynamic forces that engineers consider when designing a motorsport vehicle, and is essentially the opposite of lift, the force that pushes objects up and away from the ground. In Formula One and most other motorsports, downforce is primarily generated by a car's aerodynamic design. The front and rear wings, for example, help push the surrounding air downward, while the floor of the car generates something called ground effect. Ground effect lowers the air pressure underneath the car so that the chassis and its tires are pulled closer to the track. The goal behind harnessing downforce is to give the car more grip and the driver more control, especially when taking on corners, but also when track conditions are wet and, depending on the circuit, when navigating chicanes. When it comes to cornering specifically, drivers need additional traction to help nail the opening and exit of a turn so that they lose as little lap time as possible and maximize their lap potential. Downforce provides this traction because the weight of it pressing down on the car pushes the tires into the asphalt, which increases their overall grip. If you played with toy cars as a child, you might remember pressing down on the car with the weight of your arm so you could better control what direction it went. It's a similar idea here, only the weight involved is aerodynamic force. Now, all of that being said, too much downforce can have a negative effect on a car's overall performance. A wise engineer once said, "What's good for the corner isn't always great for the straight. Strive for balance if you want something great." No one has ever said that, by the way, I just made that up. When downforce becomes excessive, it can emphasize or create another aerodynamic force called drag, also known as air or wind resistance. Drag creates a parachute effect, which slows the car down when a driver attempts to gain or sustain speed, especially on straight sections of track. This is, of course, very frustrating because the straight is usually where a driver wants to gain the most speed, either to attempt an overtake or to widen the gap between them and their nearest competitor. It's also possible for there to be too little downforce present. Insufficient downforce can lead to or contribute to understeer, excessively slow attempts at cornering, steering instability, especially in wet conditions, and other less than ideal things. If too much downforce makes a car heavier and slower, too little downforce makes it chaotically light and harder to control. In 2026, F1 is set to remove the ground effect tunnels on the floor of its cars to reduce downforce by about 15 to 30% overall. These tunnels were originally introduced in 2022, and ever since then, F1 has had a bit of an overtaking problem. Although overtakes still happen, they don't happen nearly as often as fans, drivers, and even officials would like. This regulation change is meant to help remedy that and hopefully create balance again. Thank you so much for watching, I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, comments, or corrections, please feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. Until next time, take care.